Alright guys, Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. So the bit I'm going to approximate for the drums comes in here, so obviously she's messing about with it, not doing the same pattern all the way through, but about 34 seconds. So just here we get this doom doom cha cha, right? So that's what I'm going to try and parse and break down a little bit. Okay, so I had a lot of trouble with getting this to work the past few months. It seems to be working now, so hopefully this will pan out. But basically, it sounds to me like she's keeping the tone. I'm not a drummer, so Wave Potter is going to be the guy to go to for this sort of thing if you want it spot on. But this is like a rough idea as to what's going on. It sounds to me like she's hitting a floor tom on the left speaker. So if you just listen to that snippet that we just played, you'll hear it's very staccato, this dun 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 dun, and it's really difficult to isolate these sounds. So if you take one headphone out and just listen to this one on your left, you'll probably hear this dun 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 dun. So I've got this lined up here. I'll zoom in a bit more so we don't get too distracted by stuff. So it sounds a bit like this, right? Okay, so I'll loop that just so you can hear it by itself. So if you want to skip back the video and listen out for that, by all means do. Then what I want to do is try and introduce the other toms. So this is where it starts to sound cool and gets a bit more confusing as well. The little, just to explain things a little bit here before I move in, these red diamonds, I suppose, or rotated squares, represent a beat. This axis is time. This one is what instrument is being played. So we can see that the high floor tom, so you have a low floor tom which is lower in pitch and the higher one's a bit higher in pitch. This kit, they both sound the same, I think. Yeah, they're the same pitch in this kit, which sometimes happens, sometimes you'll just have one floor tom. Anyway, that's where the notes represent, is that being hit. And this is where they fall on the grid. So basically on the first beat, second beat, third beat, fourth beat, the 6 here indicates a new bar, first beat, second beat, third beat, fourth beat. So we got 2 bars of 4/4 here. These little spaces in between these lines represent the offbeat. So the way you'd count this would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and new bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So this is where it gets interesting with these offbeats, these ands. This is where the drums will start to come in. I should say the additional drums, another tom. So what I've done here, in fact, I'll just get rid of this for now because that'll make things a little bit easier. You can see I've put in these high middle toms, this little low tom, some more high middle toms, and this low tom. And that by itself isn't going to be particularly interesting, but I'll loop it anyway. I'm going to bring in what we had before, right? This kind of steady floor tom beat, the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And when we put them together, starting to get that interesting tribal thing. What I'll do before I forget is try to pan them so you can hear them a bit more distinctly as well. So I'm not able to pan them fully the way I'm doing it just now, but this one should be a little bit more to your right. I got rid of it there. This one should be a bit more to the left, so if you're wearing headphones it'll be a bit more apparent. And the only thing to really add in after this is a snare drum. I'll play this loop one more time. So here's the click. So that's counting along 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We add in the snare, it'll hopefully sound a bit more like the real thing. So what do I mean by snare? Well, this sound here. So where this is happening is on the third beat of every bar. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I couldn't hear any kick drum in this drum pattern, and I might be mistaken, so it might be in here. But as I say, this will give you a rough idea of what's going on. And repeat. Now, to demonstrate how this can be a bit more simple, I'm just going to put all the drums onto one drum, onto the rhythm. And you can see that most of it is just going 1, add 2, add 3, add 4 with some little gaps, okay? So rhythmically, it's not too difficult. What, like to hear, it sounds a bit like a kind of an 80s program drum here. And when you move this drum, even if we just do it between two drums, you'll get this kind of groovier, syncopated feel. And what I think happened, and I could be mistaken here, is that not all of these drums were the same tom. I think these ones were lower. I might be wrong there, but it sounded like it was going down in pitch slightly. So this one is a tiny bit higher than that one in pitch. Dun, 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 dun. So hopefully with these isolated drums here in the simplified part, if you go back and listen to specifically like the last bar, as I say, about 34 seconds into the single version of the track, you get a beat that's kind of close to this. And if you try and drown out as many of the other instruments as possible and put in one earphone at a time if you want to try and solo them out, you'll hear a pattern that more or less resembles this. Patreon.com/jbfmusic is the best way to support the channel. Likes and comments go a huge way as well though. But cheers guys, hope you're having a good one.